Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Hello, you gorgeous human you, and welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited for you to get into this episode today. I had the absolute pleasure of talking to the incredible Gemma from the Beauty Boss Accountant UK. If you're not following her already, go ahead and follow her on Instagram. This conversation is so bloody good. I had notes and notes and notes, and it's just an important conversation for you to understand your money, your business, HMRC and tax and all of that. I tried to ask Gemma all the questions that I would have had when I first started my business, and even some of the things that I need to know now, such as tax moving online. All of these things we covered, and I just cannot wait to get your feedback on this episode. I know you're going to love it, and it's so important. So make sure actually that you bring a notepad and pen and start to implement the things that Gemma does talk about if you haven't done so already. Let's get into the episode. So, Gemma, let's start with your journey, please. How did you decide to go into accounts for the beauty industry? What made you choose this niche?
So I have another accountancy business that I started back in 2013, and I was working with a lot of different clients, and I started working with a girl that's now a friend that set up a obviously coaching business for beauty online businesses. So she put me forward for some of her clients, and the more clients that kept coming over to me, the more I realized that there was a niche in the market for beauty industry, hairdressers, that sort of, area, because most of the people that I spoke to, they felt like they felt like their business didn't matter to these accountants. They felt like they were stupid. They were told that it like wasn't like a proper business and you'll never make money. And we all know that's completely ludicrous because it's a billion-pound industry, the hair, aesthetics, beauty. So from there, it made me think like there was definitely, it needs somebody
Yeah.
to help and support, these obviously businesses, and someone that's not going to judge because, it, a lot of the clients that come over to me said they felt so judged by their accountant because of what they do. And I just thought, no, that's not right. It's, you've started a business and you should be proud of that for one, and get the support and not be judged. And, fair enough, if you don't understand something, don't feel like you're scared to ask a question. And I've always said that when I take on a client, I always say, do not be scared to ask me anything because I couldn't do your job. If you ask me to cut someone's hair or do someone's makeup or put something in someone's face, I would not have a clue.
Yeah.
We've all got our own strengths and weaknesses, and they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better now for talking to you. And I think that was why I just wanted to offer support. I'm really down to earth, as you know, and just so someone could come, oh my God, like she's just a normal person, like, and then they can relate to me. And then from that, obviously, people tell, people talk. Obviously, word of mouth is the best advertisement, so they say. And yes, that was the reason. And it was the best thing I ever did. And that was in 2023. I set up the Beauty Boss Accountant.
Right.
Sat
Okay.
on the North Sea where my holiday home is. And I
Oh,
just sat there and I just shouted out. I literally shouted out to the universe, I am going to set up the Beauty Boss Accountant and I'm going to be the go-to accountant for this industry. And I shouted out to the universe.
yeah.
On the
How
20th.
how into the universe and all of that manifestation stuff are you? Completely off piste here, but I love it.
I
So,
do. I do. So
yeah.
I really, it really helps me to be obviously connected. Um, to every morning I will sit down and do obviously like just some breathing exercises. I like listening to obviously different like forest sounds and
Yes.
rain. It sounds silly. That's what I listen to, and I just breathe and just shake everything off and just get the energy moving.
Hmm.
And I feel that really sets me up for the day. And I also really truly believe that our paths are already set out for us, and you wouldn't be where you are if the things didn't happen to you in your life. And I'm not saying it's all good that happens, 'cause sometimes it's
Mm.
pretty rough, but it's your path, and that's where you're supposed to be. And I'm a huge believer in that as well.
Oh, I love that. That
Yeah.
must be why I'm drawn to you as well, because honestly, it's my life. I love energy, frequency, manifestation. I just love it. Um, I really do want to pick your brains about the mistakes that you've seen. So you
Okay.
started really helping beauty professionals back then, and you must have seen some of the biggest financial mistakes that we've been making in this
Mhm.
industry. So can you tell us what they are?
I would say not obviously tracking your numbers from the get-go,
Yeah,
and not being obviously consistent in obviously reviewing your numbers.
yeah,
Another big thing is off the back of not tracking your numbers, not saving for your tax bills, because that is huge. And I understand what it's like to see a brown letter from HMRC drop through your door, and the panic sets in and you bury your head in the sand. I've been there before years ago when I used to run pubs years and years ago when I was really young. And
mhm,
I was a little bit the same. Like I just, I'm not dealing with that. And you just get yourself in a bit of a mess. So I think that's I would say the biggest mistakes, just sort of burying your head, not obviously saving for your tax, and not like tracking your numbers from, like from the get-go. That's what I'd
yeah.
say.
I completely agree because I see it too. And I think
Yeah.
when I started my business, it would have been great to know someone like you. Do you know what I mean? My
Mhm.
mum was actually a bookkeeper. So
Okay.
I used to run things by her. She wasn't an accountant, but she did do bookkeeping for lots of different companies. And she kind of helped me a bit. But
Hmm.
I was just so, do you know, Gemma, I was like, I can't be asked. And I'm not going to lie, even though she was a bookkeeper, I was still like, I can't be asked to keep track of this. Because it's kind of time away from, all the other stuff you've got to do for your business. And it's another job on the list that you've got to do. So I might already sort of have an idea of what you might say here, but when, when do you think a business owner should not stop DIYing and actually hire someone?
Probably from the start.
I knew you were going to say that. I thought
And
so.
that's not coming from a place of me being a business owner, wanting to charge money. I obviously understand we're all in business, we're all there to make money, but from just a supporting point of view, and as a woman who runs a business and
Yeah.
who's been there and done it and made every mistake that you could possibly think of in my life, I feel that just straight away from the get-go, getting the right advice,
Mm,
knowing what the best legal entity is for you and your circumstances in your business. So, should you be a limited company? Should you be a sole trader? Should you go VAT registered?
yeah.
I've had a client recently that took some advice off somebody, went against what I'd said. They'd obviously um, registered for VAT
Okay.
back in February. HMRC have taken a long, long time to issue the VAT number. They've not been able to charge VAT, but they've
Uh,
not put the VAT away. So now we've gone through everything. They've got a 7 grand VAT bill, which they haven't got the money for because they've not saved it, because they didn't think they'd have to start charging it until the VAT number arrived. So again, that was quite poor advice, because I hear it a lot that people say, oh, go VAT register because you can claim all this stuff back and you can go back 4 years. And yes, you can do, but you've got to be prepared for the other side of it, like the sales. What if your VAT number doesn't turn up? Because HMRC have got delays and stuff, which they do have.
mm,
So it's all about getting the right advice from the start, I feel. And I see it so many times. that, obviously business owners are not getting the right support and the right advice from the start, and then down the line, it's causing huge issues with,
Yeah.
tax not paid, or obviously late accounts being filed, or not getting the best tax efficiency from your earnings, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I could speak to 10 people in a day, and each person will get a different bit of advice depending on what their circumstances are, because no one's the same. I could speak to you, and you might, obviously work for an employer, and then you might have like a side hustle doing this, and then you want to start this business. And obviously, based on what you've said, that's when I was saying, right, well, this is the best route for you. I
Mhm.
might speak to somebody else and they just want to go limited, they don't work anywhere else. Right, that's fine. That's the best course of action for you. So it's all about the right support, and not just listening to other people that have, think they know what they're doing basically, or offer wrong advice. You just don't know. It's always best to ask. And I
Yeah.
think if you're setting up a business, I think it's really important that you try and see if you can book an appointment with someone like me, who offers a call just to discuss things. It doesn't have to be me, anybody, anyone that does accounts, and just see if you can get that, like, 15-minute free, no obligation call, just to see what their advice is, and then make decisions from there. That's what I would definitely do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
such good advice. Thank you so much. And I
Yeah.
think in this industry, people are starting businesses, like you just said, really small on the side. And it's that mentality, like to bring it back to what you said a minute ago as well, after my initial questions, it's like they just don't think it's like serious, or they think that another accountant might not take it seriously and things. And yeah, it's just such good advice, isn't it? Because you can really set yourself up for the success. And I think when you grow, when you track your numbers grow. So
Mhm.
it's like within your best interest as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, is there any myths around taxes in the beauty industry? Because some people think they can claim for certain things that they can't. Um, I don't want to sway your answer here, but what myths do
Yeah,
you see
no,
floating around? Because I see a lot.
that's one of them. Obviously, expenses, different expenses, what you can claim for. The myth that what I see a lot is that if someone has a beauty business, but they also work as well, they feel that they're going to get taxed twice. So
Okay.
they feel they're going to get taxed on their employed work and taxed on their self-assessment, and it doesn't work like that.
Hmm.
So what happens is, if that is you, and obviously you're listening to this podcast, when you do your first obviously tax return, you would include your employment income with the tax that you've paid. You would include your self-employment income and expenses, and then it's all obviously calculated at that point. And then we offset any tax that you've already paid and see what's due. It's not 20% on that earnings and 20% on your self-employment, because that'd be 40% tax, and you know what I mean. You
Yeah.
would pay that if you was at that obviously certain brackets, but as a rule of thumb, if you've got an employed job, you're already going to get taxed on that anyway if you're above, like, say, threshold. So that is a big myth that I like. People panic, like, oh my God, I'm going to get taxed 40%. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Mm.
Um, and like I say, expenses. You know, the thing with expenses is HMRC really don't care what you're putting through as an expense. And I know that's quite a shock. But what I mean by that is, as long as it's for your business. So that is the rule. So it's got to be wholly and exclusively for your business. So if you've got a hairdressing business, and you're going out obviously buying products, and you're paying your rent on your salon, and you're paying for your staff, of course that's a business expense. If
Mm.
you're going out, I don't know, paying for a new kitchen, for example, and trying to put that through your books, but it's for your home, not for your salon, then
Yeah.
that's not an expense. And I do get people asking me, oh, can I just put this through because this, and this? Or I've got a dog. Can that be like a security dog? Well, no, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, it does make me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I wanted to go out and spend some money on training and stuff, that can be put through as an expense.
Yeah, so there's always a big area for expenses. So as an expense, for obviously training, it's got to be like upskilling what you already do as
Hmm.
such. So if you're a level, I don't know, obviously two in beauty, you want to do level three, go up to four, five, and seven, whatever it is, then yes, you can absolutely put that through. So it's if you're going to um training something completely different, that's not within your obviously sector, then you wouldn't be able to put that through. So if you obviously do beauty and then you want to train to be a plumber, for example, I always use that example, I've always used it, then you wouldn't put that training through because it's nothing to do with that business. It's about upskilling what you've already been trained in. That's what you can put through, basically.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
got to be related to the current business. Yeah, makes complete sense. So in any which way I take it as well, if you were just upskilling something business level wise, that would also be okay. Not just
Absolutely,
skill
yes.
level. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, as
Yeah.
long as it's business and there's no personal element
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
I hear quite a lot. So obviously there's like loads of obviously people going away to these like sort of obviously business retreats and things
Yeah.
like that. That is as long as the purpose of the trip is purely for the business and purely for you to build your business and gain extra training and knowledge, that's absolutely fine. If you're saying, let's say for example, you're like a makeup artist and you've been booked to go like to Cyprus for like a
Mm,
wedding
mm,
and you want to take your children with you for a week's holiday, well, the whole of that expense is not for your business. Now, the like obviously like your day of the travel is and the day that you're working is, then you come home. But if you want to book a week's holiday, then you're going to have to work out, well, this portion's personal and this is for business. And
mm.
HMRC, if they queried it, would want you to sort of prove how you've come to that sort of amounts and things. So again,
Justification.
that's why it's always good to have an accountant because you'll be like, oh, what do I need to do? And we'll be like, right, what's all the expenses? Let's have a look at everything. Like obviously for me, I do it quite a lot. We like put together like like a Google document, pop
Mm,
everything down, and work out how we've kind of split everything, and then we put that part through as an expense. So
mm,
as long as you've got some sort of kind of documentation to prove why, where, how, that sort of stuff, then you're going to be fine. But you know, no business is the same, and that's what we need to remember. Like what I can put through as an expense, you might not be able to, and vice versa.
yes.
No.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so that's always worth noting as well. You might speak to 10 business owners in a day and they will all have different expenses. Obviously, like a lot will be, standard, like your rent and your internet, your gas, your electric, for your salon, whatever it may be, like your staffing costs, insurance, that sort of stuff. But,
Yeah.
there will be differences. Like obviously I might pay for Canva, you might not. Do you know that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's not allowed for you. You just don't use that as a service or whatever. So it's always worth asking though, I think, just to make sure.
Mm.
You can go on old obviously Google and all that sort of stuff, but sometimes you get like you can go down a rabbit hole with it, to be honest with you, and you're just like, oh, it's you can never find a straight answer.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's best just to always ask if you've got an accountant or if you're part of a group or you've got support from someone that knows kind of what they're doing. I would say definitely ask them.
Yeah. I love that advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't ever guess it. It's not worth it, is it?
It's not for all it is, and then all the issues. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I shared a reel. What day are we on? Friday?
Mm.
Wednesday night. And I seen something on another Instagram post, and it was about HMRC red flags.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is a cool post. I'm gonna steal the idea, but obviously make it my own. And I did. I made it my own. It's just hit 1 million views this morning.
I saw it and I thought it's a
Yeah,
really good piece of content. I did. And I thought,
yeah.
well, let me just double check because obviously I swiped past. Let me see if I've had a little like or whatever. But I remember seeing it and I thought, what a bloody, if anyone's listening and needs to know, well, you all need to know everything actually, if you're listening. You need to know
Yeah.
everything. You need to be following Gemma and you need to be looking at her content. And
Yeah.
these red flags, I'm just bringing it up on my phone. Sorry, Gemma, not
All
to
right.
talk over you or anything. Um, let me just get it in front of me. Oh, you did a part two as well.
Part two, and I also did another one, HMRC, obviously coming for small businesses. So it was, yeah, it was just to highlight different things that could spark HMRC looking into you. Now it's not a bad thing. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just who needs it in their life because you don't. And then you're literally going to be full of anxiety, full of like, oh my God. So if you're doing everything right from the start, you've got nothing to worry about, then if you are picked at random, then you know what I mean, you're not going to have sleepless nights. It's the ones that are like trying to put things through that shouldn't be, and trying to get away with stuff. Those are the people that are gonna be worrying. And that obviously, but that content, I can't believe how well it's done.
Mm,
um but obviously
that's
there's been some
good.
hate on there. I've had some awful comments, like vile comments on it, like it's horrible.
Really?
Yeah, mainly off people that are not in obviously the beauty industry. I would say in
Yeah.
obviously different industries, like obviously contracting industry and things like that. Um, you know, but like I say, every business is obviously different, and there's just some of the things that may spark. HMRC are getting very clever now. They've got AI, they've got this, they've been given 1.6 billion from the government
Wow.
to try and make the gap smaller. So there's a 60% apparently small businesses, like a tax gap apparently. I shared that last night actually.
Mm.
And so HMRC have been given 1.6 billion by the government to hire more people to obviously look into people, try and catch people out, because they're saying that small businesses are getting away without paying tax and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're coming for us. They're coming. So this is why making tax digital is coming or
Yeah.
coming in. That's huge. I've got probably 50% of my client base that I need to contact and get them signed up before April. And we need to start filing four reports a year and one final tax return for every single client who's
What am I
obviously
going to
who's.
have to do, Gemma? My accountant hasn't told me anything yet about this digital stuff.
So are you self-employed?
Yeah.
Self-employed. So if your turnover, that's obviously everything in before any expenses, is 50K or over,
Yeah.
then from April next year, you've got to go making tax digital,
Got
which
you.
means that you've got to file through software, you've got to keep obviously digital records. The next phase will be the following year. Your turnover's got to be 30K or over. And then 2028 is going to be 20,000 or over. So eventually,
Got
every
you.
single person who's self-employed is going to have to go digital. And you're going to have
Perfect.
to file, and it's going to be more of a cost to your business because your accountant's got to do more work. I'm going to have to employ probably two more people to cover this work as well.
Mm.
So if you
Wow.
think about that, so if you're getting an email from your accountant saying, oh, your fees are going up, again, it's not what you want to hear, but if you think of it from the other side, they probably got to employ more people to do the work because we're used to having to do tax returns as and when they come in, and
Mm.
we kind of work schedule for that. But now we've got to stick to every quarter. All your client base who's eligible to go in, we've got to file every quarter for every single one. And then we've got to get every client to sign off on that as well before, and we've literally got a month to do it within the deadlines.
You're going to be very busy.
Very busy. No holidays for me.
No, no more jetting around, young lady. Take them in.
Well, I am. I'm going to Montana next year. I can't wait.
Are you? I love that you do get away quite a bit, though. It's lovely to see. Really
Yeah, I
nice.
love it. I love it.
Good. Shall we move on to something a bit more like light-hearted? Should we try?
Yes.
Should we try not to scare everyone?
I
So
know.
let's think about, in the beauty industry when people aren't really paying themselves actually any money. You
Hmm.
must have come across this. They don't actually set, obviously, like you said, they don't set aside their tax, but they actually
Hmm.
don't pay themselves a wage. So can you kind of let us know what you recommend when it comes to paying yourself a proper wage? Because the income
Yeah.
can be up and down, and if you're just getting started, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
It is. I hear this question all. I don't know how to obviously pay myself. What do I need to do? So the first thing I would always ask, obviously, is are you are you a sole trader? Are you a limited company? Because that does matter. If you're a limited company, we'll have to set a payroll up, and you'll get paid obviously that way. Um, if you're a sole trader, it's slightly different. So you don't need to go on a payroll, and obviously you are the business. A self-employed person is explained as that you are that business. So the money that comes into the business is yours. As long
Mm.
as you pay tax on it, then it's yours. How to work out what to take? This is what I say to obviously clients that I speak to. So it's all about looking at what potential income you've got coming into the business. So let's just say it's end of September now, and I'm like, I want to know what I could pay myself for October potentially on the 31st of October, let's just say. So I'd get my diary up, or I'd get my booking system up and have a look at the potential income that I've got hopefully coming into the business in October. Let's say it's 5 grand, let's just say. But then you might need to think, well, some people might cancel, some people might not show up. So that might change, but that's fine. We'll just base it on, I've got potentially 5 grand coming in. I'd then have a look at your outgoings that you know that you're going to pay every single month. So whether it's your rent, your insurance, your Canva subscriptions, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's just say that's £2,000, just throwing figures out. You've got 3 grand left. So potentially you've got 3 grand there that you could pay yourself as a wage.
Mm.
And that's how I would do it. And now those are
Okay.
obviously huge figures, and that can work if it's smaller figures. So if you've got bookings in of £500, for the month, that's fine. But you've got outlay of £100, we've got 400 quid left there that you could potentially use. I'd even go a step further and say, right, well, I've got £400 left. I'm going to put 20% away in a tax pot, and then whatever's left, I can take that as a wage.
Yeah.
So you can go really more in depth to it, and you're saving for your tax. And then you say, right, well, potentially, yeah, I could have this money in my bank. So I've got, so then what you're doing then, you're thinking, right, so you're obviously looking forward. You don't feel like you're not working for anything. And you
Mm.
know that if hopefully you're going to get these clients through the door because you want that money in your bank. If someone cancels, there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. You could use that time then to be posting on your socials, try and get more clients booked in for November. So you always need to be thinking ahead. That's what
Mm.
I say.
Yeah. It's good advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you what your take is on separate bank accounts for sole trader, because so many of the women I help are, and they know that they could do it. They don't have to have a separate
Yeah.
account, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's absolutely essential too.
Great. Okay.
Essential. It just keeps everything separate. You've got your business account, you've got your own personal account for your bills. When it comes to accounting, when it comes to tracking figures, and especially when it comes to making tax digital,
Mm.
that business bank account has got to be linked up to the software.
Yeah.
So if you've got a personal bank account that you've got, you go into Next and Greg's and Zara, wherever you go and spend, then your accountant's got to go in and be like, oh my God, this is not a business expense. This is not a business expense. So you're probably going to get a bit more of a tax, obviously, fee from them. Not a tax fee, like a fee for the services from your accountant for doing the extra work. So if
Yeah.
anyone's listening, I would go out and get a business bank account now,
Yeah.
definitely, if you're using a personal. Again, it just makes everything so much more easier, more streamlined, separated. And what
Mm.
it does as well, then you can transfer yourself a wage. And again, that feeling of being paid for all your hard work, it then builds obviously like to the next month, and you feel like obviously motivated to, because there's nothing worse is that than, like if you just work for somebody, for example, and you get paid and all your money goes out on bills and you've got nothing left. How do you feel? We've all been there. No, I've been there
Mm. Oh
back in the
yeah.
day. You literally get paid, and within the same day it's gone. And
Yeah.
you just think, I'm literally working for nothing here.
Mm.
And that really makes you feel pretty crappy on searching in a.
It does. Yeah, I've written down 3 points because I love what you said, and I just wrote down just for the listeners as well. Cash flow is so important in a beauty
Yeah.
business when you're buying product as well. And
Hmm.
so, just to everybody listening, doing it the way Gemma recommends, not only great for your accountant, obviously, but better for your eyes on your cash flow because let's not get into the real business side of it because we could be here all day. But that is important. And also, like you said, you can then I would be doing what you said before, like, putting a bit away for the tax. You've got,
20% away for tax, and then you see
yeah,
what you've got left. And then
yeah.
and you could even go one step further and be like, right, I've got 400 quid left, or, sorry, 500 quid left, whatever it is. I'm going to put 20% away. But I know next week I may need some products. So I'll leave 100 quid in me business account. I'll take three out.
This is what I'm saying about the cash flow. If
Yeah,
someone can see that there is actual cash in the bank for the business that's left
yeah,
in their business, then we know
yes,
we can afford product. But you've got in this industry people going out and going, I need that new glitter. I need
yeah,
that new couch because it looks pretty, or I need that new lamp in the studio because everyone's got that lamp on
yeah,
Instagram now. I mean, your old lamp worked pretty well anyway. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's just a
yeah,
case of, is there cash in the bank? I get asked all the time, do you think I should go on this course, that course? Have you got money in the bank?
yeah,
Do you want to go? Do you need?
yeah,
And I could digress a lot on that. But yeah, thank you
yeah.
so much for that
I
advice.
think, yeah, I think unfortunately the world that we live in now as well, it's all about uh, showing off what you have
Yeah.
or being with the trends. And I get it's really difficult, because everything is on social media now, and we all get a lot of business from social media as well. So it's a really awful place to be in. Like, I need to do this to make money, and I've got to have this particular like lamp, like you say, to be able to look good and stuff like that. And I once spoke to somebody years ago, and they were really, really successful, actually, very successful. And they were said there's two kinds of people that you could say you can look rich or you can be rich.
Yeah.
And that really, I thought, I understand that. I could walk around with like a Rolex on, I could have like a 60 grand car sat outside if I wanted to, whatever. I choose not to. I'm not that kind of person anyway, but I could afford those things if I wanted to, but I'd choose not to, 'cause you know what I mean? So that's the difference. I like to spend my money on holidays and experiences and stuff like that. And rather than having, like, say, a 60 grand car sat outside, I'm going to drive to the office and back. Do you know what I mean? It's pointless.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not nice to have nice things. I'm not saying that, but yeah, that's what a really, really successful multimillionaire said to me once. And if you looked at him, you wouldn't think he was a millionaire. And
Mm,
that's the kind of people that I love, because you wouldn't think it by looking at them. And that's what's wrong with the world nowadays. You
yeah.
could look at someone and go, oh my God, she's got a Range Rover, she's got this like 6 bedroomed house, like she's going to the Maldives, she's doing this and doing that. She's probably debted up to her eyeballs and
Yeah.
living month to month.
Yeah.
Or you could look at someone else who just goes to Tesco's for the clothes and got a 20 quid watch on, and
Yeah.
they've got 2 million in the bank.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
No,
mean?
I agree. I see those type of people as well, and that's what I like as well. I mean, it does make me laugh because we are extending our house at the minute, so it's made me laugh. But it's not because we want to spend the money on it, it's because we bloody need the space. But yeah, you're completely right. You can look at people and think, that I just think you can always tell when someone's trying too hard to impress. I just think you
Yeah.
can tell. So yeah. Another question for you, Gemma, is when we need to make the shift from sole trader to limited, that's always a question that comes up, isn't it? What is your advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, many years ago, it was really tax efficient to be a limited company,
Mm,
because you got obviously like a lower tax rate, which you still do. But the biggest reason that I seen for people wanting to go limited years ago was because you used to get a £5,000 dividend allowance, tax
mm,
free.
mm.
Now it's £500.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So it was always really, really beneficial to be a limited company, because you could put your obviously salary through the business and then take 5 grand dividends, and you were not paying any tax on like £17,500 of earnings. There were no
Yes.
tax, personal tax, that is. But now it's so much more different. So whenever I get asked this question, I always go back to what I said earlier on, like, let's look at your personal circumstances first. let's look at the figures. I say, let's obviously base it on this year's tax return. Let's do a calculation to see what if you was limited, what are the benefits, and you know what, 9 times out of 10, it's very
Right.
minimal tax. Yeah, like obviously tax, what's with savings, because like I say, it's increasingly difficult now to get anything sort of tax free. And
Mm.
again, like I say, it depends on circumstances. A lot of clients will want to go limited because they feel that they get the obviously extra protection.
Yeah,
And
because
if
it's not
something was
all
to
on
go
them, is it?
wrong, yes. So that is a plus point, of obviously being limited. In regards to, like I say, figures and tax, I would base it on an individual case by case basis if I was looking at it. I
Mm.
wouldn't say if you're taking 30 grand, go limited. I wouldn't say that anymore because it doesn't work anymore.
Got you.
Unfortunately, yeah. So it is on a case by case basis. So if you're listening and you're thinking about it and you've got an accountant, maybe ask them if they could do a bit of work for you and just see if it would be obviously more beneficial to you to be limited or be a sole trader, and just see what comes back with the figure. Obviously, figures don't lie. The
Yeah,
figures are there. We can work with something and then best advise from that point. That's what I always say.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. Um, One question that I think is probably on the tips of the listeners' tongues is how
Hmm.
can I be financially organized weekly or monthly?
Okay. I love this question. I get asked this question all the time. So I say have a power hour. And
Mm,
literally in your diary, whatever you use to track your day or book your clients in, whatever it is, power hour once a week, really,
mm,
once a month at a push, but I would advise once a week. Now, this once a week, this is where you're going to be a boss. You're going to see what's going on, see if I need to, pay anything, see what's happening with the accounts. Am I up to date with everything? Are all my receipts in order? And do a review of your figures. Let's have a look at, how much money I've had in this week, what have I paid out this week, and use that hour really well once a week. Get into your own little routine, have a little checklist if you want, and just be aware of what's going on in your business. And I swear down now, you will have a better night's sleep if you do that. If you're one of them that thinks, no, I can't do it, I can't do it, set yourself the hour, set the intention. And I
mm,
wouldn't do it like, for example, if you've got children and you've just got on the school run and the kids are back from school and they're hungry and they want the tea and they're screaming around, don't be doing it
yeah,
then. That's not right. If you can do it at a time when it's a more relaxed environment, you've got a bit of time to yourself, or even go and grab a coffee somewhere. Take your
thank you.
laptop, because then you're intending, that's your time for that hour. So I know sometimes you can book something in your diary and you think, I'm just going to move that quickly.
Mm,
But if that was a meeting with someone, you wouldn't do that. If that was an appointment with a client, you wouldn't do that.
no,
So you've got to get into that mindset of this is my hour. And that even if you take yourself across the road to a coffee shop and you have a meeting with yourself,
yeah.
an hour, take that time, and honestly, it will make your life so much better. I promise you it will.
Yeah, I'm envisaging me walking across to a coffee shop in my full uniform, for example, in not that I've got a uniform, but like a, suited
Yeah,
and sitting down with my laptop all by myself and having a meeting. Yeah, I always say I'm going to do it, but it always ends up looking like what you previously described with the kids going crazy and all the rest of it.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, where I live, there's a place in town. It's a hotel as well, but it has like a restaurant.
Yeah,
Now, a lot of people were going there to do what I've said, but then they got wise to it and they were kind of hogging tables because people wanted to eat. So what they did at this particular hotel, they set up a business suite and you pay £10 and you book it online
mm,
and you go for the whole day, 9 to 5 if you want to, and you get free tea and coffee and water. So if you think about mindset, if you're paying for something, you're going to go. If
absolutely.
I know it's only a tenner or whatever it may be, wherever you live, it might be, but if you've got that intention, you go online, if you're listening to this, go online, look at next week and say, right, I'm going to book myself an hour in this business suite. It could be the library, it could be anywhere, wherever you live. There will be places that do this, and
Yeah,
you've set the intention and you've paid for it. It's in your diary. I'm not being funny. Are you going to think, oh, I'm not going to go to that because you've already paid for it?
Yeah.
And it's away from work and it's an hour of
Yeah.
your time or 2 hours or whatever but at least an hour just to go through. And I think if you do that, you'll see a huge difference in your mindset, in the way that you look at your numbers, and you'll probably stop burying your head in the sand as well. And because that is not a good place to be in at all.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It moves me on nicely as well because I know that you've worked with lots of different people in this industry and different size businesses as well.
Mhm.
What are the financial habits, or just any habits, to be honest, that the most successful people are, what do they have in common?
Yeah, it's obviously saving for tax, being
Yeah.
obviously proactive with that, being proactive in learning and getting support as well.
Hmm.
So, there's loads of free information out there. HMRC, for example, you can look on their website and you can join webinars if you wanted to do that. You don't have to, but if you wanted to, get support from someone like obviously yourself or me, see if anyone else is offering sort of, obviously free masterclasses that you can join on to and, things like that. So the people that I speak to that are really successful are always learning as well
Yeah.
and wanting to learn about their business and asking questions like, when are my accounts due? When is my tax due? And having obviously regular, obviously meetings as well with, whoever's obviously supporting them, i.e., like I say, a coach like yourself or an accountant, um, and being sort of obviously active, like an active role in doing that as well. You've got to want to do it, and those are the really
Mm.
successful people that I work with because they
Yeah.
are actively wanting to make it work and they put the work in as well, whether that be the numbers, the social media, the training. They are very like determined and ambitious, like, no matter what happens, I'm going to make this work. Because I'm not going to say, yeah, it's easy. Like, we're all, yeah, I started a business and everything's great, because it's not. Like,
No.
there'll be days that I'll sit and cry at the office because I've had a rough client, or the day's just going terrible. But that doesn't make up for all the years of, like, obviously greatness and all the hard work that I've put in. So that's what I would say. Yes, successful people put the work in.
Mm.
They look at the taxes, they save, and they're always learning as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. When it comes to, I'm scaling back again to like how you help people actually prepare for things.
Yeah,
Because I've just obviously thought about, people want to either quit a day job to go full time in their business, which we mentioned
yeah,
earlier, because people do this on the side.
yeah,
Things like when I quit my beauty, didn't quit my beauty business, when I quit my full-time job, sorry, to do my beauty business full time, I was really worried about things like maternity leave. So I actually had my first two babies while I still had a corporate career. And then the
yeah,
third, I was fully self-employed. So that was really scary. So maybe we can talk about that. And other
yeah,
things that come into that, I think, as well, are like when they're making the leap to hire somebody. Or when they're making the
yeah,
leap to, yeah, just like have a baby and things. How do you help people
yeah.
with that?
I think it's really important that if you are obviously thinking about having a baby, or you're obviously having a baby, um, and you're thinking, oh, I might leave, I might. It's all you need to get advice. So I recently had a situation with a client who's been a client for years. Um, she decided to close her limited company without telling me, set up a new one. She then told me 3 weeks before her baby was due that she was pregnant, and was wondering why she wasn't entitled to maternity allowance. So anyway, long story short, because she set the new company up, she'd not worked for the limited company long enough to be able to get maternity pay. So we had to go down the road of maternity allowance, which was a rigmarole. Eventually we sorted it, but the point of that is you need to get advice first, because
Yeah.
that whole situation could have been completely avoided. It was very stressful for her because she was pregnant. I get it obviously stressful being pregnant anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think if that's you, and you are already obviously running a business and you have found out you're pregnant, You need to look into obviously support and what you are eligible to claim and how to claim that. So you would go to your accountant. If you're doing your own obviously tax returns, you need to apply for mat allowance, and you would literally put that into Google and it will come up straight away. Now you can only claim that once you've got your MAT B1 form from your midwife, so you have to wait till after that. But yeah, so it is really different if you're a limited company or if you're a sole trader. Again, it's completely different rules, you see. If
Mm.
you're self-employed, it's MAT allowance. If you're a limited company director employed by your limited company, then you get it paid through your limited company and we can claim it back for you. So again, it's two very different sets
Mm.
of rules and processes. And my advice would be if you're going to make a claim for these, make them soon as you can, because there can be delays. And it's always worth getting advice before you even think about leaving a current job to set a business up. You know, a lot of obviously ladies that I speak to are wanting to set a business up. They're currently employed, they're obviously pregnant. And I'm
Mm.
like, well, you are entitled to obviously maternity pay from your employer, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's probably our best advice to stay employed for now. Until you know as an employer, I know it's a bit of a crappy thing to do, but you know, offering advice to anyone out there, it is a perfectly legal thing to do as well. You know, I am an employer, and you know, it's part of it. Unfortunately, you know,
Mm.
your employees have rights at the end of the day to sick pay and maternity pay and things like that. So I would always ask questions. Don't make any decisions just based on a whim. Speak to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Definitely. When it comes to employing somebody, again, that's a massive minefield, massive. So, a lot of issues that I find with beauty business owners is that they want to take on someone who's at college, apprenticeship. They think it's all sorted in a snap, and it's not. We've got to apply for references, and that can take months. So, again, if you've got an accountant and you're wanting to take on somebody, you need to speak to them and let them know. And they should then advise you that we need to register as an employer. That can take a couple of months. We need to decide on how you're going to pay this person. Are you going to run the payroll? Do you want your accountant to run the payroll? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? You've got to think about holiday pay, sick pay, pension
Yes.
contributions, our contracts of employment,
Mm.
employment handbooks. So it's a lot. So you really need support. If you don't know what you're doing, it's very, very easy to get into trouble with HMRC for not doing things correctly. Again, I mean, I see loads of different things, and I've recently had someone move over to me. They've been employing staff since last March.
Mm.
Never done a pay slip, never submitted anything because they were told by the old business owner that they just needed to take 20% off the wages before they paid them. I know, I know.
I'm speechless for once.
Yes.
Wow.
So you can imagine I was like, right, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we've now and they got paid weekly. So we've now got to go back and do um well over 52 weeks worth of payroll and work out tax, and there's obviously national insurance that's owed to HMRC, and it's going to
Yeah.
be so from some poor advice from somebody. My client now is probably going to get some hefty penalties because of
Yeah.
that. So my point is, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just trying to be honest and just real, but always get advice from someone who knows what they're doing and not just someone you can speak to on the street or someone, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
get the right advice. And if you're unsure, like obviously get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Because if it's the right information to like let's say two accountants should give you the general right, you know, like the same information really.
Yeah, makes
So
sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
And you do see that people giving advice, online these days in groups and stuff. They ask instead of asking the accountants or whatever, they'll be asking in the Facebook groups,
Yes.
in the community
Yeah.
group. And it's those things, isn't it? People go to their communities and ask instead of coming to you guys and stuff. And to be fair, that's really good for the listeners because not only do some people not even realize that their accountant would need to be involved or could be involved with these certain things? They think they have to take the stress on themselves. And I think actually
Yeah.
it's not, like you said, we don't want to scare anyone, but it's actually quite freeing in a way to know that
Hmm.
you could just get the help from someone else that would tell you when is best, what is best, and like how it will affect your business. So,
Yeah, and just give you that's obviously pointers on things. And
yeah.
I'm all about the support side of things as well with how I help obviously my clients. I'm not saying that all other accountants or
Mm,
I've actually come across, obviously clients that have obviously come across to me and they're like, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, like I weren't sure that I had to do that, I didn't know I could claim for that. And
mm,
like obviously since coming over to you and obviously following you, I didn't realize I could put this through my books and obviously claim these obviously benefits that you can put through for directors and obviously Christmas parties and things. And so again, it's about getting the support, but about getting the right person to work with as well.
mm,
Who's going to obviously proactively help you because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
yeah.
Every accountant's different. Not everyone works the same. And so it's also about finding someone that you can relate to and that you feel that's offering you the right support as well. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Honestly, love it. Thank you so much. I've got two more questions. We can
Okay.
do them like quick fire, I think. So,
Okay.
just before we finish, the first one is, what is just one thing that every listener can do today to feel more in control of their business money?
Start tracking your finances.
Perfect. And can you tell us a funny story or a time that's made you cringe or something that you've learnt from in your career?
Um, it was a weird situation. So I went to Nottingham on a night out with my husband, but we went in the daytime, and I was walking down the road, and these three women started screaming, "Oh my God, it's Gemma from the Beauty Boss Accountant!" And I was like, "Oh!" I stood there and froze. I've seen you on Instagram. I'm like, hi. I was like, oh my God. It was just such a weird, surreal moment. Like, when like it's actually, well, people do actually watch you then on social media. Like people
Yeah.
do take note. And it was just so weird. Like that someone obviously recognized me in
Mm.
the street. It was a very weird, surreal. I was totally embarrassed. I went bright red.
You're famous. Honestly, I think if that was me that saw you in the street as well, I'd do the same. I'd probably run up to you and give you a big cuddle. Um, so thank you so much for joining me. That has been such a good episode. I am going to put everything to get in touch with you. If you've got anything else you want to talk about before we finish up, by the way, just let me know. Is there anything that
Okay.
you want the listeners to know?
I think we've kind of covered everything really. Just like I say, if anyone wants obviously any help, advice on anything, you can obviously give us a follow on Instagram and kind of get in touch as well. Yeah, just get in
Yeah,
touch, have a
perfect.
chat.
Right. I'm going to put everything in the description to get in touch with you on Instagram.
Okay.
And yeah, everybody listening, go and follow Gemma right now. Start doing those things that we've talked about, please. And download this episode, share it with a friend, put it on your stories because everybody needs to know this stuff. It's such an important conversation. And I just want to thank you again, Gemma, for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And to everybody listening, thank you so much. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.